Imagine waking up every day with the absolute certainty that the universe has you on a watch list. Not a "we're keeping an eye on you" watch list, a "this guy is a recurring problem" watch list. That's the emotional baseline of Invader Zim. Not hope, not ambition, not confidence. Pure, unfiltered panic, covered in a crunchy layer of denial. Because Zim is a walking contradiction. He's convinced he's a genius. He's convinced he's terrifying. He's convinced history will carve his name into the sky like a monument. But the reality is, Zim is the kind of villain who could trip over his own evil plan while announcing it. Watching him operate is like watching someone attempt brain surgery with a hammer and a spaghetti noodle and still demand applause. And here's why that matters. Zim doesn't just want to conquer Earth. He needs it. He needs recognition like oxygen. He needs validation like it's a fuel source. He needs the Irken Empire to look at him and say, finally, the little guy wasn't a mistake. But every molecule around him, every human, every dog, every vending machine, every law of physics seems personally committed to ensuring he fails in the most humiliating way possible. His own empire hates him. Earth hates him. Dib hates him. And Gur, his assistant, loves him in the way a toddler loves a glass vase, loudly, passionately, and with catastrophic consequences. And we, the audience, get to enjoy every second. Because watching Zim suffer is weirdly therapeutic. It's the cosmic equivalent of watching someone try to fix a leaking dam using tape, glue, and blind optimism while standing inside the water. His pain is operatic. His paranoia is a symphony. His breakdowns are performance art, and his villainy is basically a long string of self-inflicted disasters with dramatic lighting. So today we're doing what the Irken Empire refused to do. We're taking Zim seriously. Not to praise him, not to comfort him, but to clinically examine why his existence is a never-ending existential meltdown disguised as a mission. Because being Invader Zim isn't just hard. It's emotional torture with sound effects. And the universe seems to be laughing with us. So, buckle up, because if Zim teaches us anything, it's this. You can lose everything, repeatedly, in public, and still wake up tomorrow convinced you're winning. That's not resilience. That's a curse. Now let's start where the curse began. Not on Earth, not with Dib, not with Gur, but with the society that created Zim and immediately regretted it. To understand Zim's suffering, you have to understand the place that built him. The Irken Empire is not a friendly environment. It's a military machine. Efficiency, obedience, conquest. A culture where competence isn't a goal, it's the minimum requirement to be allowed to breathe. Every Irken invader is supposed to be tall, intimidating, disciplined, and terrifying in that clean, organized way. And then there's Zim. Zim is a tiny green firecracker of incompetence, who treats every mission like a toddler treats a birthday cake. Loud, messy, and somehow on fire. He doesn't enter a room, he erupts into it. He doesn't plan quietly, he announces his plan at maximum volume, like volume equals strategy. He doesn't adapt, he escalates. Zim isn't a problem because he's evil. He's a problem because he's embarrassing. And the Irkens can handle destruction. They can handle brutality. They can handle war. What they cannot handle is second-hand shame. And Zim generates second-hand shame like a nuclear reactor. From the moment he exists, the Empire treats him the way we treat a printer that jams every time you look at it. A mix of dread, pity, and that exhausted acceptance of, this is going to ruin my day. They don't fear Zim, they fear what Zim does to paperwork, because Zim doesn't conquer planets, he conquers incident reports. He doesn't inspire terror, he inspires entire departments dedicated to cleaning up what he broke. Somewhere in the Irkin government, there's probably a specific office labeled Zim Damage Control, and it's always understaffed. And here's the most tragic part. Zim desperately wants their approval. He wants to be respected. He wants to be legendary. He wants the almighty tallest to look at him and feel pride. But Zim, the tallest, don't feel pride when they see Zim. They feel what you feel when you see a kid running with scissors. They feel immediate danger. So when they assign Zim a top-secret mission, it's not because he earned it. It's not because he's special. It's because sending him far away is the safest way to protect everyone else. It's exile, wrapped in a ribbon, with the word promotion written on it. Because Zim is not a soldier to them. He's a liability they launched into space. And Zim, with his malfunctioning heart, hears, "I'm the chosen one." The Empire hears, "Finally, he's gone." So understand the psychology baked into his existence. Zim appears confident, but that confidence is built on a foundation of rejection. He's not trying to conquer Earth just to win. He's trying to conquer Earth to prove he was never a mistake. And that desperation, that's the fuel for every breakdown you're about to witness. Which brings us to his mission. A mission that was basically engineered to fail. Zim's greatest achievement, in his mind, is being sent to Earth. In reality, it's the Empire's most elegant solution to the Zim problem, because Earth is the perfect trap. It's far enough away that Zim can't ruin important things. It's insignificant enough that nobody cares if he explodes it by accident, and it's difficult enough to keep him stuck in a loop of effort, failure, and humiliation forever. Earth isn't a conquest. It's a containment zone. Think of it like giving your chaotic cousin a special job at a family gathering, so he stops breaking things in the living room. Go, conquer that parking lot. And then everyone locks the door. But Zim sees it as destiny. To Zim, Earth is a stage, a planet-sized spotlight. His chance to prove he's brilliant. So he arrives with dramatic speeches, evil gadgets, and that terrifying confidence of someone who has never once been forced to sit quietly and reflect. And immediately, reality begins to punish him, because the universe isn't just against Zim, the universe is petty about it. His technology malfunctions at the worst time. His disguises work, just enough to make the later failure funnier. His plans almost succeed, just enough to let hope exist for 5 seconds, and then they explode, literally or emotionally. Usually both. Zim lives in a loop of almost. Almost respected, almost victorious, almost impressive, almost stable, but never enough to arrive anywhere. And every time, he reinterprets the failure as a strategic move, because Zim can't accept reality. Reality would destroy him. So he converts humiliation into narrative. He tells himself he's still winning. He tells himself it's part of the plan. He tells himself the tallest are watching, impressed, trembling with admiration. Meanwhile, back on Irk, they're probably eating snacks and asking, "Did he explode yet?" Zim isn't just failing, he's failing with full conviction, which turns his entire life into the cruelest psychological trick. He is both the victim and the hype man of his own suffering. He's the only person clapping while his life collapses. And that's why it sucks, because hope for Zim isn't healing. Hope is how the universe keeps him running into walls. And those walls have names. Earth, Gur, Dib. and every human who looks at him and feels nothing. Which brings us to the next layer of torture, Earth itself, not as a planet, but as a living antagonist. Earth doesn't just resist Zim, Earth humiliates him. Like the entire planet is emotionally allergic to his ego. Zim lands here expecting fear, expecting awe, expecting trembling humans begging for mercy. Instead, he gets something far worse, indifference. Humans don't scream, they don't run, they barely register him. And for a narcissist built on the need to be witnessed, being ignored is not peaceful. It's violence. Because Zim doesn't just want conquest, he wants the emotional experience of being taken seriously, and Earth refuses to give him that. He tries disguises. Humans don't care. He tries threats. Humans don't understand. He tries monologues. Humans walk away. To Zim, being overlooked by a random child is a cosmic insult. He takes everything personally. Every stare is judgment. Every laugh is mockery. Every moment of normalcy is the universe saying, "You're not important." And that breaks him. So he overcompensates. He builds ridiculous inventions that scream, "I mean business." He creates elaborate schemes with zero subtlety. He infiltrates a school like a man trying to rob a bank while wearing fireworks. And Earth responds with the same energy it gives to a mildly annoying mosquito. Swat, ignore, move on. And that's the real cruelty of Earth. It doesn't feel like a battle. It feels like Zim fighting a wall that refuses to acknowledge him. He can't conquer a world that won't even validate his villainy. And every time he tries, something tiny goes wrong. A gadget sparks. A disguise slips. A human says something casually cruel like, "Why are you like this?" And Zim spirals. Because even walking down the street is a high-risk operation when your brain is a paranoia engine. He can't just exist. Every second is strategy. Every second is threat assessment. Every second is him imagining watchers behind every tree, every lamppost, every mailbox. He shines with delusional confidence, but under the surface, his mind is a frantic animal chewing through the bars of its own cage. And still, he keeps going. Because if Zim stops, he would have to face the truth. He is not a conqueror. He is a performance, a clown who thinks he's a king, and Earth is the audience that forgot to clap. But Earth isn't the only thing devouring his sanity, because the universe also gave him help, and that help is a cheerful robot who turns every plan into shrapnel. Which brings us to the most adorable form of sabotage ever created, Grr. If Zim is a burning tower of ambition, GIR is the wind. Not helpful wind, not push the sails wind, wind that knocks everything over while giggling. GIR is supposed to be an assistant, a support unit, a loyal, efficient resource. Instead, GIR is what happens when you build a robot and set its personality to unpredictable toddler in a trash can. He is cute, he is joyful, he is enthusiastic, and he is an active threat to every plan Zim has ever had. Imagine trying to overthrow a planet, and your right-hand man is basically a golden retriever with rocket launch privileges. GIR doesn't sabotage Zim out of malice. He sabotages Zim out of vibes. Zim says, "Observe the humans." GIR hears, "Spin in circles until physics gives up." Zim says, "Be quiet." GIR hears, "Sing a song about tacos at maximum volume." Zim says, "Do not touch anything." GIR hears, "Press the biggest red button because it looks friendly." And the tragedy is that Zim can't remove him because GIR is all Zim has. He's helpless companionship, a walking reminder that Zim's life is so unstable, even his support structure is built to collapse. Zim tries to maintain control with screaming, with threats, with discipline, with that strained, desperate authority of someone who is one more mistake away from snapping. But GIR is immune to intimidation. You can't scare a creature that doesn't fully recognize consequences. So GIR bounces through life like a cheerful demolition crew, eating things he shouldn't, wearing costumes for no reason, interrupting serious moments with nonsense, turning high-stakes missions into a carnival of embarrassment. And the worst part, from GIR's perspective, he's doing great. He's helping. He's participating. He's having fun. Meanwhile, Zim is trying to hold his empire together with pure rage and duct tape. And every GIR moment becomes a psychological stress test. Can Zim stay composed while his assistant actively dismantles reality? The answer is always no. Zim melts down. He screams. He shakes. He spirals. He clutches his plan like a drowning man clutching a sinking boat. And we laugh, because watching a mastermind be destroyed by a tiny, happy robot is the purest form of comedic cruelty. GIR isn't just a side character. He's a reminder that Zim's life is cursed at a structural level. The universe didn't just give him challenges, it gave him help, designed to maximize humiliation. But as bad as GIR is, at least GIR is accidental, because there's someone else in Zim's life who is not accidental at all. Someone who sees everything. Someone who refuses to let Zim breathe. Someone who turns Zim's paranoia into a full-time reality. And that someone is Dib. If gear is chaos in a cute costume, Bib is something worse. Certainty. Dib is the one human on Earth who refuses to treat Zim like a harmless weirdo in a trench coat. He's the one kid who looks at Zim and goes, "Nope, that's an alien. I can smell the drama." And for Zim, that is catastrophic, because Zim's entire survival strategy on Earth is built on one fragile illusion. Humans are too dumb to notice. That's the plan. That's the foundation. That's the whole tower. And Dib shows up like a toddler with a baseball bat aimed directly at the tower. Dib doesn't just suspect Zim, he commits to suspecting Zim. He obsesses with the intensity of someone who has decided this is his life's purpose. And honestly, respect. Because the biggest threat to Zim isn't the government. It isn't the military. It isn't science. It's a sweaty little kid with infinite free time and zero fear of embarrassment. Dib is relentless. He sees through disguises. He catches patterns. He notices the weird tech. He shows up at the worst possible moment like the universe's personal anti-Zim alarm. Zim tries to infiltrate, Dib appears. Zim tries to blend in, Dib points and screams. Zim tries to have one single peaceful minute, Dib kicks the door open like, "Explain yourself, space demon!" And what makes Dib truly unbearable is not just that he's right, it's that Zim can't shake him. Zim can't intimidate him into silence because Dib wants the confrontation. Zim can't bribe him because Dib would rather be correct than be happy. Zim can't outsmart him cleanly because Dib is fueled by paranoia, and paranoia is unpredictable. So every time Zim tries to build momentum, Dib resets the board. Every time Zim tries to feel powerful, Dib reminds him, "You're not in control of this story." And that is the deepest psychological torture possible for someone like Zim. Because Zim doesn't just want conquest, he wants narrative dominance. He wants to be the main character. Dib refuses him that. Dib forces him into a role Zim can't stand, a guy who's clearly lying. And the more Dib pushes, the more Zim spirals. Because Zim can't admit he's threatened. He can't admit he's scared. So he does what he always does. He screams louder, he builds bigger gadgets, he makes crazier plans, he doubles down on delusion until delusion becomes a lifestyle. And we, the audience, watch this obsessive rivalry and realize something painful. Dib is the only thing keeping Zim honest. Not morally honest, emotionally honest. Dib is the pressure that reveals the cracks. And every time Dib shows up, you can practically hear Zim's nervous system snap like a dry twig. But Dib isn't just a constant enemy, he's also proof of Zim's worst fear, that Zim can be seen and still not be taken seriously. Because even when Dib is right, nobody listens. Which means Zim is trapped in a nightmare paradox. A boy is screaming, "Alien!" and nobody cares. So Zim is both exposed and ignored. That's not just frustrating, that's spiritual violence. And it pushes him into the next stage of suffering, a life lived in meltdown mode. Zim's mind is not a calm place. Zim's mind is an active disaster zone with a welcome sign that says, "Please panic." He lives in a constant swing between two emotional extremes. 1. I am a genius conqueror who will rule this planet. 2. Everyone is watching me and I am 2 seconds away from dying. That's not a personality. That's a malfunction. And the worst part? Both feelings feel equally true all the time. Every plan begins with grandiosity. Zim sees himself as a legend, a tactician, a terrifying force of nature. He imagines himself standing over the defeated masses like a tiny green emperor with very sharp teeth. But the moment something tiny goes wrong, something meaningless, something normal, his brain flips the table. A human glances in his direction. Zim has a full internal crisis. A classmate laughs at something unrelated. Zim assumes it's about him. A teacher says, "Turn in your homework." Zim hears, "Your cover is blown." A dog barks. Zim interprets it as a government signal. His paranoia is so aggressive, it turns reality into a hostile environment. And the delusions don't fix it. They make it worse. Because when you believe you're the center of the universe, every minor inconvenience becomes a personal attack. Zim isn't just stressed, he's cosmically offended. He takes malfunctioning appliances personally. He takes weather personally. He takes humans being bored personally. He takes reality not cooperating as a targeted insult. And it's exhausting. Because Zim is always on, always improvising, always controlling, always reacting, always trying to be 5 steps ahead of people who aren't even playing the game. He's like a man sprinting at full speed while everyone else is calmly walking their dog. And what's truly tragic is that Zim can't just admit he's struggling. He can't slow down, he can't decompress, he can't say, "I'm overwhelmed," because if he does, the whole fantasy collapses. So he does what many deeply unstable dictators do. He replaces inner peace with spectacle, bigger plans, louder speeches, more gadgets, more traps, more "I am in control" energy, even when he is visibly not. And that's why watching him is so compelling, because Zim is the purest distillation of a specific kind of suffering, the suffering of someone who believes their life is a grand story, but keeps running into the fact that they are not the author, they're the punchline, and the universe keeps writing new jokes. Which leads directly to the most obvious physical proof of Zim's curse: his body. Because Zim doesn't just suffer emotionally, he gets wrecked constantly. Zim's life is basically a highlight reel of injuries that should end a normal creature. Explosions, electrocution, chemical burns, flying through walls, getting slammed into metal, being crushed, being thrown, being melted, being reduced to a smoking silhouette and still standing there like, this was part of my plan. Zim's physical suffering is relentless and artistically humiliating because it's not just pain, it's pain with timing, pain with irony, pain with an audience. Zim builds a device to demonstrate his genius. It detonates in his face. Zim tries a bold entrance to intimidate humans. He trips, rolls, and lands in garbage. Zim tries to prove strength. He gets folded like a cheap chair. And the real joke is that Zim never learns the correct lesson. A normal person would go, maybe I'm not built for this. Zim goes, I must build a bigger machine. He keeps escalating like the laws of physics are a rival he can intimidate. And every episode, physics responds by slapping him across the room. It's like the universe is training him with pain, not to improve, just to keep the gag going. And the pain feeds his paranoia, because every time he gets hurt, it confirms something deep in him, that reality is hostile, that living is dangerous, that success is a trap, that everything is waiting to explode. So he becomes more tense, more aggressive, more desperate, which makes him make more mistakes, which causes more injuries. It's a perfect feedback loop of suffering. Zim is essentially trapped in a machine that turns ambition into bruises. And what makes it so funny is that he survives it all. He's indestructible enough to keep losing forever. He can't break free by dying. He can only break free by winning. And we all know that's not happening. Zim's body becomes proof that the universe wants him alive only long enough to be embarrassed again. And once you realize that, you start to see the pattern everywhere. Which brings us to the next chapter. The most terrifying villain Zim ever faced, the universe itself. Here's the thing. Zim is paranoid, but he's not wrong. Because in Zim's world, coincidence is too consistent. Everything goes wrong in the most perfect way possible. Every time. Like the universe isn't merely chaotic, it's curating. Gravity isn't neutral. Gravity is petty. Technology isn't unreliable. It's spiteful. Humans aren't indifferent. They're accidentally cruel in ways that hit Zim exactly where it hurts. And Zim feels it. He senses the pattern. He experiences life like a personal attack. And honestly, he might be correct. Because Zim's existence is basically everything that can go wrong will go wrong in a way that makes the audience laugh. That's his curse. He is a cartoon character built to fail for our entertainment. And on some level, he knows it. Not consciously, but emotionally. He knows the universe is laughing. That's why his confidence is so loud. That's why his speeches are so dramatic. That's why his plans are so desperate. He is trying to overpower cosmic mockery with theatrics. He is trying to bully fate into respecting him. And fate just keeps handing him new humiliations like party fours. A human teacher casually criticizing him? Existential crisis. A classmate ignoring him? Personal betrayal. A squirrel existing? Threat level maximum. everything becomes a sign, a warning, a cosmic insult. And here's what makes it tragic. Zim interprets suffering as proof he's important. To Zim, resistance means he matters. Failure means the universe is afraid of him. Pain means his destiny is close. So the universe can torture him all day, and he'll keep translating it as progress. That's how you keep someone trapped forever. Give them pain and let them call it meaning. And we, the audience, laugh because it's absurd, but also because it hits something too real. The idea of chasing greatness while reality calmly dismantles you. Zim is the villain version of trying your best and still failing. And that makes him the perfect tragicomic protagonist. Which brings us to the final question. Why does it suck to be Zim? And why do we love watching it? So, what have we learned? Zim's life is a non-stop parade of humiliation. He is rejected by the Irken Empire, exiled to Earth as damage control, trapped in a mission designed to fail, tormented by a cheerful robot saboteur, hunted by a relentless human child, beaten physically by his own inventions, destroyed psychologically by his own delusions, and actively bullied by the laws of reality. Every day is panic. Every plan is a disaster. Every victory turns into a joke. But the reason it truly sucks to be Zim is simpler than all the chaos. Zim wants it to mean something. He wants greatness. He wants recognition. He wants proof he wasn't a mistake. He wants to be seen and admired and feared. And the universe responds with the same cold answer every time. No. Not loudly, not dramatically, just constantly. It's the quiet cruelty of repetition, the way every attempt collapses into embarrassment, the way every moment of confidence becomes another setup. Zim is a creature built to be his own punchline. And that would be unbearable, except it's also insanely funny, because Zim suffers in a way that becomes art. His breakdowns are operas. His panic is poetry. His rage is choreography. And the show gives us the perfect emotional cocktail: horror, sympathy, and laughter, all mixed together. We laugh because it's exaggerated. We laugh because it's relentless. We laugh because the universe is clearly bullying him, and it's doing it with style. We laugh because Zim is convinced he's winning, while the audience can see he's losing in real time. And there's something comforting about that, because if Zim can survive infinite humiliation and still wake up tomorrow yelling about conquest, then maybe we can survive our own Monday. Maybe. So the next time you see Zim, antenna smoking, eyes blazing, proclaiming inevitable victory, remember, that's not confidence. That's coping. That's delusion doing cardio. That's a tiny green alien fighting the universe with nothing but ego and refusal, because it truly sucks to be Invader Zim. And that is exactly why we can't stop watching. And if you enjoyed this dive into Zim's beautifully catastrophic existence, you know what to do. Like, subscribe, and comment which character's life we should dissect next. Because apparently, this is what we do now. We analyze cartoon suffering in HD with love and just a little cruelty.